17, 24 to 27, and it's about Jesus paying his taxes and Peter paying his taxes. If you remember, there was a temple tax. It was a tax that Israel had instituted hundreds of years before this, and it was to sustain and maintain the temple and to maintain the priests as they served in the temple. It was not a Roman tax. A lot of people say, well, give unto Caesar the things that are Caesar's. That verse is out of context for this, because this has nothing to do with Rome. This is totally, this had totally to do with the nation of Israel. There you go, Jeff.
Which paper?
One more.
I don't, did you hand that out last week or week before? I didn't get it.
Peter Pan.
Yeah.
Oh, you probably weren't here when we first came.
Oh. We'll share.
I'll give it to you.
Jennifer, you got yours? Oh.
Yeah, I got it. Thank you.
Okay. So, number 3. What was their motive in asking Peter about the tax? Yes,
To
Bonnie.
discredit Jesus.
Huh?
To discredit Jesus.
To discredit Jesus. Now, the tax said the teachers didn't have to pay the tax, remember? Okay? And they called him teacher. Doesn't your teacher pay the temple tax? Okay? So they condemned themselves right there. They showed their, the Bible says, out of the mouth of men comes the contents of the heart. So they showed their motive right there. They are out to trap Jesus. And remember, this is just 6 months before he will be hanging on the cross. So everything's going downhill. He didn't turn out to be the great warrior they wanted. He didn't conquer the Romans. He's telling them that they need to be forgiving and all this. And it is not a message they want to hear. You ever been to church and heard a message you didn't want to hear? I mean, it wasn't a bad sermon, like the time I went and he was preaching from the Snoopy comic strip. I didn't want to hear that, but it was a bad sermon. Have you ever been to church and got your toes stomped on? Whose fault was that?
Preachers.
Whose fault was that, Bonnie?
He didn't like that answer.
You know? Get your feet out of the way. I'm going to tell you, I've been in the same place. It seemed like every word he said was pointed straight at me. And I know the man didn't have any idea what I'd been doing that week. So I'm sure nobody called him up and said, tailor a sermon to beat Bill Benner over the head, But everything he said that morning from that pulpit was just slapping me upside the head. I mean, it was just one after everything he said. Okay, also look at the question. Doesn't your teacher pay the temple tax? Why'd they ask it in the negative? Why did they say, Jesus pays the temple tax, doesn't he? They say, doesn't your teacher pay the temple tax? They ask it in the negative because their motives were negative. Have you ever had political pollsters call you up just before an election and say, have you got time to take a 2-minute poll? Okay. From the first question, you can almost tell whether it's a Republican doing it or a Democrat doing it. Because of the way the question's phrased. The left would ask the question, now, are you for women having a choice? Who would say no?
Choice
right?
Yep.
Who would say no? Yeah, women ought to have a choice to, they shouldn't be ruled by men. Women ought to have a choice. The other side, the right says, are you against abortion? See the difference in the question? And they're pointing people to give them the answer that they want to receive. It's called politics. And it's alive and well in the United States today. Well, politics has been around since Adam tried to talk his wife into something. It's been around forever. And the question was formed, and it shows the contents of their heart. Doesn't your teacher pay the temple tax? Okay. What is implied by verse 25? Yes, he does, he replied. When Peter came into the house, Jesus was the first to speak. What do you think, Simon? He said. From whom do the kings of the earth collect duty and taxes? From their own sons or from others? What's Jesus doing here?
He already knew what they had said to Peter.
He already knew what they'd said to Peter. And is he correcting them? Or is he correcting Peter? Did Peter tell the truth?
When it says he called him Simon there too, that's usually when he's wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. He told him, you know, it's Peter when he's good and it's Simon when he's bad. Yes, he does, Peter replied. Yes, he does, he replied. Had he?
No.
No. He was a teacher. He didn't have to. He didn't have to pay it. He hadn't done anything wrong. He hadn't broken any laws. And Peter's instant response was, yeah, he pays it. Peter is putting Simon on the block. He's saying, Jesus is putting Simon on the block. He's confronting him with the lie he just told him. Why did he tell the lie? Have you ever said something just to get out of the situation?
And he was defending Jesus anyway. I mean,
He was
because he
defending
knew
it.
what they were doing.
He was defending it. But Peter knew he didn't have to pay the tax. Peter should have looked at him and said, what are you asking that for? My teacher doesn't have to pay the temple tax. He's exempt from it. But in order to get out of the situation, he says, yes, he does. Okay. You ever been there? You ever been in a situation? Your wife looks at you and says, does this dress make me look fat? You can't win that question. It's not going to... She doesn't really want to know the answer. And if she didn't think she was fat, she wouldn't ask. Right? I'm outnumbered here, I know. Truth of the matter is,
Forrest Gump's mom said blue white lie never hurt nobody.
Sometimes we have to dig for compliments because y'all don't hand them out.
I had a clerk named Julie, and she had this long, beautiful black hair. I mean, it was beautiful hair. I was in the post office the other day, and she cut it off almost to a butch, and it was little curly, little fuzzy curls kind of thing. And I looked at her and looked at her again. I went over to my box. I was trying to get out there, and she said, Bill. I said, hi. She said, like my new hairdo? I said, no. Walked right out the door. Oh man, she used to have the most beautiful hair, and now it looks like her complexion's way too light. I mean, it looks like an afro. Here.
Her complexion's too light, I get it.
You with us, Bonnie? You catching up?
Yeah. I thought maybe she was just looking pale, but
No. Okay.
So she looks like a man now, basically.
Why was Jesus concerned that they would be offended? I mean, what did he care? Didn't want to hurt their feelings?
No.
And he worried about the Pharisees' feelings up to this point.
No.
Had John the Baptist. Now, what would that famous thing John the Baptist say? You vipers and hypocrites, who has warned you to flee from the wrath to come? He said that to King Herod. Why was Jesus walking on eggs about this thing? Well, there is a perfect timing for everything in our lives. There. You find it in Ecclesiastes. There's a time to live, a time to die, a time to be married, and you get a whole bunch of things. And it goes on and goes on. Huh?
He's singing the song.
They made a song after it.
Well, in the Bible, you often find the phrase, in the fullness of the time. In the fullness of the time means in the exact right, perfect time. Well, Jesus had to die at the Passover. And they were assaulting him almost every day. And so, it would not, if he hadn't have made it to the if he'd have gotten killed before the Passover, if he'd have been crucified before the Passover, then the spiritual side of it would have been totally the timing would have been totally destroyed, because he was the Passover lamb. He was the lamb that was slain, and the blood that was put on the lintels to save the household from the avenging angel. Okay? And it was a type or a foretelling of who the Savior would be, who the Messiah would be. His blood would be shed, and we would be covered by it to save us from an avenging God. Because even after we're saved, bottom line is, we're still just sinners saved by grace, right? I mean, let's face it, do you know anybody who's been perfect since they left the altar? I don't know very many people that have been perfect since they woke up.
That'd be me.
Anybody said anything sarcastic this morning to your spouse?
No.
Oh.
Not yet. They is young.
Okay.
I haven't, I can promise.
See, there was this perfect time for this to happen.
Yeah.
And if Satan could have gotten these guys to the point where they would have jumped, now God was in charge of this, and ideally it wasn't going to happen. But it had to happen at a perfect time, and to make too much turmoil, to allow too much turmoil too soon, could have accelerated things. Okay? And so Jesus backed off. I mean, he could have said, I don't have to pay that tax. I'm not going to pay that tax. I'm a teacher. And I've proven who I am. I don't owe him anything. But he didn't. He didn't. He said, Peter, go throw a line in the water and catch a fish, the first fish you catch. And there'll be a coin in his mouth. And go and pay your tax that month. All right. What's that say to us?
We need to fish for our
That we're
tax.
doing wrong, because I wouldn't, I would have fought it.
You'd have fought it? Yeah.
God will provide. God will provide.
Okay. Anybody else?
You have to pick your battles.
Pick your battles. Very good. That's what I was thinking. Do we pick our battles? I mean, sometimes, is it worth it to have the fight? What are you gonna end up with in the end? Are you gonna be better off or just cause scars that aren't gonna heal? You know, sometimes it's like shrug your shoulders and say, okay, you win. My wife hates that. Okay, you win, and I open up something and start reading. She still wants to pursue it. After about 10 minutes, I said, sweetie, you win. Keep reading. And she hates it. Used to work with guys, I'd do that to them. They'd want to argue. My first job as a carrier, I was the only white man in a post office with 49 routes. It was at Graceland Station in Indianapolis. It was a black neighborhood. And my seniority brought me up to the level of regular, and so they made me regular and gave me a route. And it was at Graceland Station. I was the only white guy in a totally black post office. And for the most part, 99% of the time, we got along just great. I mean, I didn't have a problem, but there was a couple guys that just didn't like white people. And every morning they would try to goad me into some kind of a discussion about something. And most of the time I'd just ignore it. Well, there was, I used to keep Snickers bars in my drawers. And, because I'm kind of a Snickers bar guy. This guy named Williams, he stole my Snickers bar. I only had one left. You know, I usually put 6 of them in there at a time. I'd have one a day for the week. Well, Williams stole my Snickers bar. And when I walked into the row where my case was, he was chewing real fast. And I looked at him and I wonder what he's eating. Then I opened my drawer and my Snickers bar was gone. And he went to the bathroom. I went over and I looked in his trash can. There was a Snickers wrapper in his trash can. So I waited for him to get back from the bathroom, and he came back from the bathroom, and I looked at Bill Davis, my case partner, the guy to my left, and I said, you know, somebody stole my Snickers bar. I said, that man's mama must not have taught him anything. Williams turned around and said, you can't talk about my mama like that. Everybody roared. So I just, and he kept shooting things at me, you know, he kept, you want to go out on the dock with me? And I kept casing my mail, singing Amazing Grace. And he went home, I mean, he went home mad. Came back next morning, he's still on this thing. He still wants to fight. So I brought in 6 new Snickers bars. I turned around and took out a Snickers bar and said, hey, Williams. And I threw him a Snickers bar and he caught it. And he's standing there looking at the Snickers bar, looking at me and looking. And he's like, he's either got to throw it back or shut up. And he ate the Snickers bar. Shut up and ate the Snickers bar. You know, sometimes it's not worth the fight. What are you going to win? Sometimes if it's about abortion or about child abuse, or if it's about something that's destroying our country or destroying your best friend, you have to say something. Sometimes you have to show up and you just have to tell them the truth, whether they want to hear it or not. Those are not good days. They're not days you want to be around. They're not jobs that you want God to give you, but you have to do it. You have to. Sometimes God asks you to do things you don't want to do, right? I mean, right?
Yeah.
Amen.
Okay. Well, Jesus looked at it and said, 4 drachmas. Why fight it? He didn't have to. He didn't know it. But he said, why fight it? Okay. Why a fish?
That was Peter's line of work. Because it was Peter's line of work.
Right. That's what Peter would understand. Peter was a fisherman. what would he have done? What if Peter had been a carpenter? What do you suppose Jesus might have done?
Put it in his nail bag.
Do it.
Put it in his nail bag.
His mailbag?
Nail it.
Nail
Nail.
bag.
Inside a piece of wood.
Hmm.
Inside a piece of wood that he was going, inside a piece of wood that he was going to carve.
Okay? He could have said, go split some wood and you'll find a coin, or go carve a table and you'll find a coin. What's it tell you about Jesus?
It's personal. It's personal.
He's very, very personal. He is going to treat you, who you are, where you are, in a way that you understand. He's not going to treat me the same way he treats you. He's not going to treat you the same way he treats Dawn. He's going to treat you as Alicia, as Jessica, as Bonnie. He's not going to put, you know, churches put the rules on the wall, and this is how you have to do it. You know, you get saved, you quit drinking, quit smoking, and quit running around with women who do. No, that's not how Jesus does it. Jesus has never condemned me about smoking. You know what?
Because you don't smoke.
Never smoked the first cigarette in my life. I've never. Well, start out, I was too poor. Couldn't afford a nickel pack of cigarettes. Didn't have a nickel. And that was a good thing, because I never started. And in high school, there was all this pressure. You know, back in the 60s, it wasn't a bad thing to smoke. It's what the cool kids did. And I never smoked the first one. Jesus had never come along and said, Bill, you gotta deal with this nicotine thing. No. But what about the guy that's smoking 3 packs a day? What do you suppose the first priority in his life is going to be? What about the guy who's right on the fringe of becoming an alcoholic? Do you suppose he's going to deal with nicotine before he deals with the alcohol? What about the guy that cheating on his wife? What do you suppose he's going to do? You know, each person is unique, and Jesus treats us exactly who we are and where we are. And he treats us in a way, in a loving way, that will correct us and make our lives better. You think Jesus enjoys correcting, or you think God enjoys correcting his children? Did you ever enjoy correcting your children? Did you ever correct your children? No? No.
Never did.
They don't like to do that. But what happens if we don't? What happens if they don't know right from wrong? What happens if we don't teach them to not play in the road? They're going to get hurt. And so sometimes we have to do things we don't want to do simply because we love them. And that's why God corrects us. Because he loves us and he wants our lives to be better. And we got to go upstairs or our lives will get worse.
They say, like, after he paid it, did they say, could they have said that, oh, so you're not a teacher? I mean, could they have set him up both ways?
Yeah, they could have. They tried to do that all the time. But keep that for next week. We'll
Okay.
start there next week.